I'm just aware that, pre your training or your spiritual training, you were really in some ways either competing for swimming, competing against another clock, or for your team. And then, you went through this whole spiritual period and then recognized that you disowned competition, that it really cost you something. And now you're competing against a whole nother clock for a whole nother reason, which is, to help save the planet, to help, so that we don't end up drowning in our own garbage.
Yeah. And I want to say, I don't think the planet's at risk.
Yeah, right.
I think
it's a species.
the species are, not just human beings, but
right.
I think all animals are human beings anyway. But all beings, the planet will probably survive, but we may not.
It'll survive, but according to most reports, maybe altered.
Very altered.
Yeah, an altered state.
An altered state, right. But that's true. So I do feel that the competition is for a much higher stake. But I do think that the athletic training was great training.
It's great, yeah.
And my teacher used to say, Genpo, you're never going to realize how much your swimming and water polo competition really has served you and will be a factor in your future. And I didn't. It's only now I'm beginning to realize what a great training, that was. I mean, I know that in the Tibetan practice, of course, they'll start training at age 4 to be spiritual. My training from very young was to be athletic.
And to be disciplined.
And I really trained that way until I was 26.
Yeah.
And even after that, I continued with whatever it was, bodybuilding or running or whatever. But really highly competitive until 26, until I became spiritual. Right? Same date.
Right.
And I do think that competition, particularly the team sport, is so important to really recognize that we're only as strong as our weakest player or our weakest link. And it's the same with bodybuilding. We're only as strong as our weakest body part.
Right.
If we've got terrible calves, if we're competing in, let's say, in bodybuilding, it doesn't matter how well your pecs are, your lats are, you're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
That's right. And it's the same thing with the team sport. We had an unbeatable team in 1963. We were junior college. I love telling the story because
you're proud, and that's another voice you've owned.
That's another voice that I've owned.
Pride is good, yeah. Yeah.
That's right. All these shadow voices, So we did something that had never been done before, never been done since. As a 2-year junior college, we went undefeated in water polo against all the great 4-year universities, USC, UCLA.
I love you beat USC. I love it.
I know. I later went to USC as graduate school, but we beat them. Cal State at Long Beach, which was one of the best.
Yeah, they're very good.
I went after that to there, and we won 1 out of 2 national championships there.
Right.
But we did something that was just unheard of, and why we did that, why we were undefeated, an entire season, never lost a single game. We were even behind in the state championships, 7-1, and we won 8-7. And the reason was that our coach was the greatest coach in the world, Monkey Niskowski. He's been 4 times, I believe, or 5 times. What a name! Yeah, 5 times Olympic coach. Played in the Olympics himself, and what he did was he brought us together as a team. So we played as a unit rather than having any one player stand out as, this outstanding individual.
The Shaq O'Neal, yeah.
Right. And because of that, we actually, against this team that we were down 7-1, our fastest swimmer in the pool was slower than their slowest swimmer.
Well, you guys were smarter and more of a team.
Well, I don't think we were smarter.
Right.
They were a very smart team.
Yeah.
We were better coached, and we played as a unit. We played as a team, and we were unbeatable for that reason. You just couldn't stop us.
Well, I mean, the analogy that just naturally comes to mind too, when thinking about the big mind process and working with shadow, is that each individual is no stronger than their weakest or most disowned voice, or the way that they act out. So really, big mind is your own internal personal coach, or the master is your own impersonal coach that says, look, you really have to deal with some of these voices that you don't like, or they're gonna lose the game.
That's right. It's well said. And let me say this too. Some of the voices that I've discovered that I call universally disowned, like the narcissist,
right.
they hold the key. I mean, it's amazing. We've disowned these voices because we consider them, of course, negative or bad.
Right.
Well, the narcissist, believe it or not, when we start to investigate and go deeper into owning it, and we go through the immature and the unhealthy version of it and the disowned voice to the mature and healthy, what happens is we discover the narcissist holds the key to self-love and to loving of all beings.
Right, which has got to be a shock to every psychotherapist or spiritual practitioner on the planet.
Well,
They're like, what the hell is that guy talking about?
I think it's the new psychology.
Right.
I really do. It's the new therapy. So the sexual pervert, which is another universally disowned voice, again, when we start to speak to it, what we find is that it holds the key to our source of energy.
Right.
It just,
and creativity.
It's like as if we are each a conduit for the source. And I really believe we all are. And we're a vessel or vehicle for that source, like a hose.
Right.
And if both ends are open, in other words, we're really connected to the source, and the nozzle's open, and we're really trying to do something for the sake of the world, if there's a kink in that hose, nothing comes through.
Right.
And lo and behold, the kinkiest of all voices, which is the sexual pervert, holds the key to unkinking that kink.
Yeah, so is it really your thought that all these shadow voices are things that are kinks in our hose?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's from small kinks to large kinks.
Right.
In other words, from kinks that some waters can still get through that hose to major kinks where nothing comes through.
Right.
And it seems to me to be that these universally disowned voices, which I've named them as universally disowned, like the narcissist, like the sexual pervert. Another one is the boaster.
Right.
Yeah,
tell us about the boaster.
Well, in our society, it's so, considered poor, poor manners, poor whatever, to boast about oneself. So what do? We do it covertly.
Right.
So we're always boasting in some covert way.
Right,
look at me, look at my accomplishments, look at what's in front of my name or what's behind my name, all this. And it's so covert when it's so refreshing that we just can say, well, listen, I'm really proud.
Yeah, I'm proud of myself. I did something that's worth being proud about.
That's right. We did something that nobody else has ever accomplished, or I accomplished this, or we accomplished this.
Right.
It's so exciting to be able to just speak it. And for those listening, people feel enlivened by it. They feel refreshed by it.
Right.
That finally somebody is coming out and just, a matter-of-factly, boasting about their accomplishment.
Right, so it's really that immature or that disowned boaster, look how great I am, that nobody really likes. But a boaster that's out of the closet can just say, look, I'm proud of a few of the things that I've done, and here's what they are for me.
That's right.
Yeah.
And let me say the kind of order what we see from the disowned, like let's take the boaster.
Right.
From disowned, where it's completely disowned, we can't get in touch with the boaster at all. And if we start speaking to that voice and letting that voice speak, it begins to become owned. And then I can ask the boaster, well, what is it that if you were owned, the disowned boaster, what would you offer the self? And it comes out very clearly what it could offer. And then we can speak to the immature and unhealthy boaster, and when it's immature and unhealthy, of course it comes out in a negative way.
Right.
A way that's going to repulse people and turn people off, right?
Right.
But then we go to the mature and healthy boaster, and it comes out in a way that's very enlightened, very awakened, very self-assured, confident, has a lot of confidence and faith, trust in oneself.
Faith.
That's right. And actually it's a beautiful, beautiful voice.
Right.
So, and they all do this. All these disowned voices seem to be able to go from a negative energy to a positive energy, every one of them.